get started with today's episode, I would like to quickly read you our podcast disclaimer. This podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not to substitute for professional care by a doctor or other qualified medical professional. You should always speak with your physician or other healthcare professionals before doing any fasting, changing your diet in any way, taking or adjusting any medications or supplements, or adopting any treatment plan for a health problem. The use of any other products or services purchased by you as a result of this podcast does not create a healthcare provider-patient relationship between you and any of the experts affiliated with this podcast. Any information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, and now we'll get started with today's episode.
Welcome back to the Fasting Method podcast. This is Coach Terri Lance, and I have a very special person that I'm recording with today. Everyone's going to be very excited. Megan Ramos, how are you doing today?
I am good. I slept last night. I don't sleep much these days. That's why no one's heard from me in months.
Well, it's good to get to have you on here today. Very exciting for me.
No, it's great to be back. The last year's been a whirlwind in the biggest way. We welcomed my first son in October after a bit of an emergency at the end of the pregnancy. He ended up coming a bit early and was very much on the small side of things. And for some reason, I thought, he would just sort himself out and I would be able to return to partially to the land of the living in addition to my new mom duties. But there's a lot of complications that came along with that small size. And as much as he's thriving, we've had a really long year. So it caused me to put my return to civilization on hold a bit. But we're approaching his first birthday very soon. And he's growing like a weed. He'll be taller than me by preschool at this rate. So things are sorting themselves out, and it's really great to be able to come back and to connect with everyone again.
So Megan, you and I talked about kind of sharing with listeners, obviously your update, but also what are some updates for TFM and what can people be expecting over these next few months? So I thought maybe we could start by talking a little bit about the masterclasses that are coming up, and one that's a little unique and different than what many people may have experienced if they've done any of our masterclasses in the past.
Yeah, so in about a week from now, I'm doing my first ever live workshop. Now, in the past, for people who have followed myself in the fasting method, you all know that I've done these masterclasses and how masterclasses have typically worked. Not always. We've done sort of different variations of them. But typically, there's a new lesson video every day. It's pre-recorded. It gets loaded every morning for people to watch at their convenience. And we meet up once or twice a week where I answer questions that have been submitted to our team. And I go through the questions as usually a Zoom webinar. So I'm stuck looking at myself and talking to a screen. As much as I love the questions and giving out the information, I really miss the interaction, especially after about a year of being a little bit MIA and not being able to connect with people live. So we do these Q&As and then we have a forum, and that's where I really get excited because I get to connect with everyone, hear who they are, their fasting experience, hear their questions, and we can troubleshoot. And that's, really what I enjoy. And I just enjoy the forum aspect of it so much. We've done a lot of these master classes now, and actually know a few people have attended them a couple of times, but they find they get a lot out of the live Q&As because people are submitting all these different questions based on their circumstances, and they find they learn a lot from them, or they get their chance to ask questions as their journeys evolve. And I haven't been doing a lot of coaching, and coaching's something that I'm looking to returning back to a little bit in the new year, but not on such a large scale like I've done before. And so they like to have the chance to run some things by me. So they keep joining up with these master classes. And I thought, okay, how can I transform what we've been doing so there's more engagement? People get to have more time asking me about how the material we're learning is really impacting their fasting journey, what their questions are, and that we get to have interaction. I get to be on the screen, but with a whole bunch of my fasting friends in the community, and we get to be in this really collaborative environment. And we can turn everything that's happening in the forum to this live engagement. So I've been inspired by some of the workshop styles that you've done with your behavior and mindset masterclasses. And I thought, okay, let's do that over different fasting topics. So I selected the 6 most popular fasting topics that come in and decided let's workshop those. As a community, let's do them live. We will record them so people who do join this workshop, if they're not able to attend one, they'll always be able to go back and rewatch. But let's talk about these 6 problematic areas of fasting and discuss them as a group. So an example of one of these topics would be finding the optimal intermittent fasting strategy. Everyone always kind of looks for that golden protocol, and there's really no such thing. I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot because you've heard me say things like 342s or 248s. And there's some general advice, when we're asked very generally, we say, okay, this typically gets a lot of bang for your buck with fasting and results. But that's not something that we can always sustain doing. So we're going to talk about what does that really mean? How to find sort of that golden strategy. It's more about finding a strategy rather than a protocol. And I think what is great about doing it this way is that people at all different levels and experiences of fasting can come in. Someone can come in and say, hey, I'm new and I've eaten the standard North American diet way for the last 30 years and I have snacked on processed foods. How do I start figuring out how to pivot in this strategy? Or someone who's maybe crash and burned, always trying to fit in 342s every week, but just hasn't been able to sustain that and get to where they need to be, how they can change that. And what's really great is that everybody gets to hear everybody else and we get to work through it together as a team. And so you might be at the start of your journey and you might get some insights from some individuals who are later on in their journey and have already experienced this. And you might get to hear sort of what's in store too and get some tips and tools already to help you troubleshoot down the road. So I'm really big about making these events that we do applicable to everybody wherever they are in their journey. So it starts September 9th. That's our first live workshop. We have 3 live workshops a week over the course of 2 weeks. You can find information about all the details of the times and the topics over at thefastingmethod.com, and we'll make sure to put the link in the show notes for quick reference. Then what we're going to do, and what I haven't done before, even with my past masterclasses, is we're going to regroup for a 7th live session a month after this one ends. So you can go out into the wild, put the stuff into practice, and then come back with any questions that you might have and get that peer support. In the meantime, we will leave the forum open for the group in the workshop, so you will have a chance to interact with me on a regular basis, but we'll have that coming together as a community and being able to support one another and give some feedback. So I'm really looking forward to it. I guess this is sort of like a larger scale bit of coaching and an opportunity for people to get a chance to sort of connect it and run things by me. And it gives me the great pleasure of really being able to connect live after all of this time with everybody.
I think that sounds great, Megan. And I'm really excited, like you said, the idea that it's in vivo, it's while life is happening. And it's not just kind of the older format that we were using, which works well for certain topics. But I think getting people in, meeting with you regularly, diving into these different topics. And then I think the other powerful part is getting that month to go practice these things. Oftentimes when things come at you kind of quickly, you don't have time to implement them and figure out where your challenges are and where your successes are. And so I think this coming back a month later is going to be a really powerful piece for people in this workshop. I think they're really going to enjoy that, giving themselves some time to work on the things that they've been learning with you and come back and do another deep dive and kind of how they can tweak what they're doing and improve what they're doing.
This is part of it too. I want people to really embrace that life does happen And sometimes we have to put the pause. And in this workshop, we'll talk about what that pause can look like, because it doesn't mean not doing anything. There are a lot of sustainable strategies that you can do to keep you moving forward. You'll be inching. You won't be taking giant strides or leaps, but you can still inch forward during pauses. So we're going to make sure we cover that in the workshop. But I just want people to embrace and not get down or feel shameful when life happens about not being able to be in a deep therapeutic state of fasting. It does happen. So let's normalize life happening, and people might not be able to start the course. That they might be attending and digesting the information, but not really be able to put it into practice for a week or two later because life happens. So, this gives some time for people just to start to play around with it. Maybe they've played around with it for the whole, 6 weeks by the time we have that. Maybe they've tried for a week and they run into some bumps along the way. But again, life happens. So we want to give people time, to really give it a shot and then come back and make sure that they get the support that they need.
Absolutely. Well, then piggybacking on that, we have more coming this fall and into kind of the holiday season. So the next thing we have after that is a masterclass with me, and that is the Transformations Masterclass, which is a behavioral mindset masterclass. That has 2 videos per week for 4 weeks. So again, giving people time to go through the materials, implement things, keep doing the work, and get to have these live interactions. We have 4 live workshops during that month, and we have 4 live Q&A sessions. And as with your workshop, Megan, those will all be recorded for anyone who can't attend any of those meetings. They will get to see them as a recording. And just a couple of quick highlights about that masterclass. Again, this is not talking specifically about anything about fasting, but really the behavior and mindset around it. So looking at your motivation and your why, looking at your wise self-coach, learning about why is it that we struggle sometimes implementing all of this knowledge that you're teaching us, Megan. What is going on in our brain? Why does it work the way it works? And how can we try to manage it so that we can reach our goals? So we're going to talk about self-sabotage. We're going to talk about emotional eating, and really just making these new lifestyle things that you're teaching, really make them part of our identity. People who listen to this podcast know I talk about that often. So that is a 1-month masterclass, again, divided up 2 videos per week and then 2 live sessions per week. And then, of course, for people who are interested in both, we have a weight loss and transformation bundle. So they can get both of those with some savings. And if they do the bundle, they will also receive a 3-month access to the community. If they're not already a member of the TFM community, they will get 3 months to come in and be a part of all of the meetings and utilizing all of the resources. And as you mentioned with your workshop, there will be an exclusive forum for people in this group to come in and ask questions and get support from each other and from us. So that's the first bundle. And then Megan, you want to talk about the other bundle?
Yeah. September, I feel everybody, you come back from your summer holidays. We always start the summer off with the best intentions, right? And then things can get a little bit hairy. And I always joke that the Tuesday after Labor Day is kind of like a new year, new beginning. We can treat it like January 1st and we can hit the reset button. But I know how awful people tend to feel after a summer that goes awry, and they feel like they're not going to reach their goals by the end of the year because we have things like Thanksgiving and the December holidays. But it's totally possible to kick butt this last stretch of the year and start the new year off on great footing. Whether you're at your goals or you're nearing your goals, it's possible. People always email in and they're like, which of these tools should we use to help us get there? Like, we had a summer, went a little bit messy, or we're super motivated right now. We want to crush things by the end of the year. Which tool should we use? And to be honest, there's great benefit of using all of the tools, right? They all work together like a system. Everything that the fasting method offers is really designed to be an entire system to give you complete support. So we decided to package all of our different features at the fasting method, all of our different programs, into one, and we call it our ultimate weight loss bundle. So you get access to the workshop where you can troubleshoot and learn about your intermittent fasting strategies. You get access to your behavior and mindset masterclass where you can really transform yourself and make these things sustainable for the long term, because you're working on your relationship here with your habits and with your relationship with your foods. And then we're actually doing our maintenance masterclass one more time this year. It's going to be at the beginning of December, so before the holiday stuff really kicks in. And we're going to teach you what fasting and eating strategies you need to do for the long run. But again, in order to make that successful, you've got to conquer the mindset stuff first. So this is why it all fits together. So we're going to teach you how to fast or how to troubleshoot, how to transform your mind and your relationship with food, and then what fasting and eating strategies you need to do for the long run to maintain. And you don't need to be in maintenance or even close to maintenance to get a lot out of this course, because we all want to know what's in the future for us. And planning is key for success. So you want to have these tools now to learn and to prepare for when that day comes. Throughout all of this, we want to give you some personalized support too. And this is where you get access to working with one of our executive coaches. Now, in this bundle, we've included one one-on-one session for you to do a deep dive with your coach, but we've also included 6 small group coaching sessions for you to really workshop this on a more personal and intimate relationship with your coach and just a few peers that will be in the session at the same time. And this really helps you troubleshoot in between longer sessions. It gives you some time to really go into a deeper explanation of what's going on with somebody who's an expert at this and get guidance rather than having to figure out how to troubleshoot it on your own. And then, of course, you get access to the community for all of the live support and engagement, whether it's in our forum or in our meetings or digesting new information in some of our webinars. And with this package, we give you 6 months access to the community if you're a new community member.
And there's one more bonus with that bundle as well. We will give you access to masterclass videos from other masterclasses that will just round out your knowledge base even more. And those are our time-restricted eating masterclass, our fat fasting masterclass, and our type 2 diabetes masterclass. Now, these won't have live meetings attached to them, but they will have all of the recordings from when those took place. So a great bonus on top of all of these other resources.
I forgot about all of those. They're great tools. So yes, this bundle literally has everything that you need. It's a whole encyclopedia of knowledge to go back to. It's a lot of interaction on a larger level and on a more intimate level as well to give you all of the tools you need for success.
So another thing that you and I talked about, Megan, is kind of explaining a little bit about what our plans are for the podcast so listeners know what to expect as far as kind of what's coming up, what will they be hearing each week. And I can start with each month, we will be doing what we started recently, and that is sharing a Q&A session with Dr. Fung, and that is co-hosted with Coach Lisa Chance. So that will be aired once a month for you to get to hear those question and answer sessions.
And I'll also be back doing one Q&A episode a month, plus one fasting basic episode a month. So this is something that we did try to start where I would go in and give you some key tools about getting started with fasting and some of the basic principles. It got a little hairy for me because of my circumstances at home, but we want to pick up where we left off and provide you with all of this great fasting info.
And then last but not least, we'll have one episode a month that will be a hot topic or a special guest. So it might be one of our coaches joining one of us. It may be a transformation, someone from our community, someone that we've worked with as a client or we know through our community and talk about their transformation story. Or it may be a special guest from outside who has a lot to add in their information related to everything that we do. Each month will be full of lots of information. Again, hearing each of us kind of talk about things. And every now and then you'll get all of those things at once because some months actually have 5 episodes. So we can cram even more into those.
It's good to be back. I look forward to really connecting again with everybody and getting the fasting info out there. It's kind of crazy. Fasting has gained so much popularity in the last few years. It's wild. I'm walking through the park with my son and I hear people talking about fasting, and this is not a reality that I thought would ever come to be, when we started doing all of this. But with a lot of popularity comes a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding. So I want to embrace all the popularity and help set the record straight so people can make this a really successful tool in their toolbox moving forward.
That's great, Megan. I'm very excited that you're back. Very excited about hopefully getting to do an episode with you once in a great while. I know coordinating our schedules has been difficult, so hopefully we'll get to do that. And I'm just looking forward to another great season on the podcast. I think we have a lot of great things coming, a lot of new energy coming, and it'll be exciting for our listeners.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great year. We've got a really incredible team.
So we're going to wrap up here so that we can get back to doing everything that we have planned coming up. You have a workshop coming up starting next week. So we'd love to see some listeners here come to the workshop, sign up for any of the things that you're interested in this fall. We're really excited to be presenting these, and we will be coming back next week with another episode.
Bye for now, everyone. Happy fasting.